Welcome to the Committee of Adjustment for the month of September 10th. We'll call the meeting to order at 3:01. I'd like to begin our meeting by recognizing the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people of Canada as traditional stewards and caretakers of the land. We acknowledge that Clearview Township is located within the boundaries of Treaty 18, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Teonatani, Wendat, and is the home of many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples as part of an intricate nationhood that reaches across Turtle Island. At this time of truth and reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity to work together towards new understandings and new relationships and ask for guidance in all we do. To the committee members, you've all read the last month's minutes. Any queries, questions, issues, omissions with last month's minutes? Can I get a motion to accept last month's minutes? Seconded. All in favor? Carried. Do any committee members have a pecuniary interest resulting in today's file that we find before us? Seeing none. The Committee of Adjustment today will consider one minor variance application scheduled under the public hearings. The Planning Act requires that a public hearing be held before the Committee of Adjustment decides whether or not to pass a minor variance. The public hearing serves two purposes. First, to present to the Committee of Adjustment and the public the details and background to the application, and second, to receive comments from the public and agencies before a decision is made. For each application, the Secretary Treasurer will summarize the proposal and put a motion on the floor. Planning staff, division staff will provide all other pertinent information that is relevant to the application. From there, the applicant will be provided the opportunity to make a presentation, followed by questions or presentations from the public or the committee. Committee members will then have the opportunity to question the applicant, the Secretary Treasurer, the planner, or anyone giving presentations today. Over to you, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Chair. Notice of this statutory public hearing for this application was circulated in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, Chapter P13. Notice of these applications was posted on the subject property on or before August 25th, 2025, which was at least 14 days prior to the meeting. Notice was delivered to property owners within 60 meters of the subject property and circulated by email to those persons, departments, and agencies likely to have an interest in the application. Notice was also posted to the township website. Included with each notice was a legal description of the property and a description of the proposed changes.
Do you have the motion or the recommendation for the committee?
Yes. So next slide, please. And there we go. This is a key map of the site. Next slide, please. We received comments from the Township Public Works and Engineering Department, Building Department, Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority Source Water Protection Officer, and the Minister of Transportation. And the recommendation from staff is, be it resolved that the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Clearview hereby approves minor variance 25A11 pertaining to lands at 2616 Fairgrounds Road South on the basis that it meets the prescribed tests in accordance with the Planning Act, subject to the following conditions. 1, that the establishment of the home industry use is completed. Yes, sorry. Just making sure that my script and the presentation had the same text. That the establishment of the home industry use is completed and operated in accordance with the plans attached in the schedules of this report, the development agreement registered on title, and subsequent plans that are required as a result of satisfying the comments of township. 2, that prior to the issuance of a building permit, the owner is required to enter into a development agreement with the Township of Clearview that will implement and detail the home industry use. The owner is responsible for all costs associated with the development agreement and the registration of the agreement on title, including the payment of the $2,000 fee and $1,000 deposit for creation of the agreement, any legal cost associated with the registration of the agreement, and any other related costs. 3, the development agreement will be registered on the title of the property, implementing all conditions of the minor variance application 25-A11. The development agreement will also implement the following to the satisfaction of the township. A, all requirements of the Public Works Department as identified in their memorandum dated August 28th, 2025. B, all requirements of the Planning and Building Department addressing specific operational matters and items of the home industry use, including but not limited to hours of operation, internal access and movements, parking, number of employees and patrons, location and scale of the home industry use, and etc. And C, to limit the home industry to a maximum of 24 participants weekly and a maximum of 16 teaching hours weekly, having an average workshop size of 8 participants with larger workshops up to 24 participants twice a year. And nope, that's the same.
Thank you, good sir. Can I get one of the members to put that motion on the floor? Seconded? All right, now it's time for discussion. Over to the planning staff on this wonderful file that is before us today.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so just to fill you in, I'll provide a brief presentation regarding the current application. So in terms of the purpose of the application is seeking relief from several sections of the zoning bylaw, specifically section 212(2)B, which seeks to permit a home industry be conducted partially outdoors. Section 212(2)D, which seeks to increase the maximum gross floor area that a home industry can occupy within accessory building from 50% to 73%, a variance of 23%. Section 212(2)E, which is the maximum area home industry can occupy with an accessory dwelling from 95 square meters to a total of 127 square meters, a variance of 32 square meters. Section 2.224, which is the maximum parking per dwelling, which also includes home industries. So to permit a permanent 8 permanent parking spaces in support of the home industry, as well as a total of 16 temporary parking spaces, which is a variance of 4 permanent spaces, as well as 16 temporary spaces twice a year, as well as notwithstanding section 212.1, recognize and permit a more intensive home occupation, which is the private tutoring instruction, as a home industry on the site. Next slide, please. In terms of the effect of the application is to recognize or permit a more intensive home occupation, private tutoring or instructor as a home industry on the subject lands in the form of private educational on-farm workshop. The home industry is conducted within the existing accessory building as well as be conducted outdoors for the teaching of land stewardship, climate change, and nature connection workshops. Next slide, please. This is just a site plan of the subject lands currently. So kind of in the southern portion of the site or on the bottom of the image, the applicant's existing dwelling is identified in yellow. Where the cursor is currently showing and kind of central to the property is an existing detached workshop, detached garage on the property. And the building subject to the current home industry use is located on the north end. If you could just zoom up or scroll up just a little bit. There, and then identifies the existing parking area associated with the building. Next slide, please. This is identifying the this updated kind of permanent. I'm sorry, there is a typo on the word permanent, permanent and temporary parking facilities, showing again the existing permanent facilities in gray there, and then a location of the temporary parking spaces that will occur twice a year on the subject lands. Next slide, please. This is a floor plan of the existing accessory building to be converted to support the home industry. You can see in red is 127 square meters for the home industry use, with the remainder of the remainder of the building being used for agricultural use and storage. And then in yellow, there is the washroom facilities and mechanical room. Next slide, please. Here are a few site photos. This is the interior of the component of the building to be converted for the home industry use. And again, this is on the right. There's existing gravel parking area. Next slide, please. And then here's a photo for one of the on-site kind of walking trails or on-site the property. You can see the dwelling in the background. And then a photo from the Fairgrounds Road South showing it's hard to see, but you can see the notice sign in white with the dwelling in red just to the in the rear of the photo. Next slide. Oh, that's just a continuation of. So based on that, staff have prepared the current recommendation report with the conditions and are happy to address any questions that the committee may have.
Thank you very much, Nick. All right. Is there anyone who was presenting for the owners of this file?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if I can be heard.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Paul Cronus. I'm a registered land use planner in the province of Ontario. I work at Weir Folds in Toronto, which is a law firm. I have with me today Monica Badigan and Gaetan Tardif, who are the owners of the property. I don't know how much more information you want, but I was hoping to have an opportunity before we get into the merits to perhaps suggest Mr. Colin Funk is aware that we sought to hopefully not have you attend today to give us an opportunity to work out a few things with the township, which unfortunately hasn't materialized as of yet. But I'm in your hands. Would you like to hear why I am suggesting we should adjourn this matter, or do you want to go right into the merits? I'm really in your hands.
I am quite easy. If your intent is to ask for a deferral, then go ahead and ask.
Okay, I just didn't want to, I know everyone's attended and everyone's taken time out of their busy schedule to be at the hearing, but what a little bit of history may help too, and so you can appreciate our little bit of frustration, and hopefully with your guidance and concurrence, we can adjourn this matter to allow some more fruitful dialogue to occur. We want things to evolve in a friendly fashion rather through any other means that could be available. We filed this application some time ago and originally scheduled to be heard on August 13th. We identified during just before the hearing started that through some detailed discussion with the planning department that it might be a benefit to add a variance to the application and hence the adjournment. This is the variance that deals with the parking that is now added to the current application. And also we wanted an opportunity to speak to Public Works, which is really the only agency from all the circulations agencies that expressed any concern. We feel and continue to feel that there's a misapprehension of the nature of the proposal that's before you today. And we were hoping and expecting to have a meeting, and we asked, and you kindly agreed to adjourn the matter on August 13. No notice was issued, and it gave us the opportunity to also continue to talk to staff and also to add the variance. Unfortunately, because of everyone's busy schedule, the meeting that we sought with Public Works to get some insight as to why they need these what we call extraordinary requests for documentation. We had that meeting last Friday, and don't want to get into the details, but it was not as productive as we thought it would be. We were hoping to get some guidance on why, for example, we need all these reports that are similar to a site plan application. But as you know, from the first staff report to the current one, the request for a site plan application has been dropped. But in lieu of that, we have the similar process, which is a development application. That development application and the recommendation that's before you today happened. The report was available to us roughly 2 hours after our meeting on Friday. We sought some clarification as to what that development agreement is, and we received that, I believe, Monday, sometime Monday. We have not had a chance to review it, but our cursory review of it almost suggests the continued misapprehension of the application that we need what is equivalent to a subdivision agreement. I've done planning about 35 years and all over the province, and I can tell you the depth of the agreement is equivalent to trying to develop a Walmart from a vacant site or a condo in downtown Toronto, 30 stories. That's the agreement we were presented. We, in fact, presented staff with what we think is within your jurisdiction, and I know it's in your jurisdiction, to order or to include as a condition, and that is a condition under section 45(9) of the Planning Act, which is an agreement that is registered on title that picks up all the elements that you may eventually decide on. Unfortunately, staff have not had a chance to review, or they came back with said, well, we don't want that, but we want a development agreement, which we think is totally inappropriate for what is being proposed. And I will give you the reason why. This is an existing building that is built legally with all the permission from the town, building permits. Everything you see there is permitted as of right. We want to occupy a portion of the existing structure internally. We can do that as of right at 95 square meters or 95 square meters. What we're asking for you to do is modify that through the variance to let it be 127 square meters. That's roughly 32 square meters more than what is permitted. If to put that in context, it's the size of a bedroom in a typical house, not a Walmart. And secondly, we're allowed to occupy under the existing regulations 50% of the building, and we want to take that to 73. So those two numbers are together. That's not a Walmart building. We want to provide 8 parking spaces because that's what the occupation of the building will entail. We're allowed to have 4. That's not a Walmart parking lot. So we tried to have this discussion, and it's regrettably we haven't been able to communicate well, or we haven't been able to receive the assurances we need that the review that you see and the conditions that are contained in here are in our view not appropriate. There's no correlation between the end result that is trying to achieve and the means and the variance. So we were hoping that we could adjourn this hearing to allow that discussion to continue because as you can see, with now 2 staff reports and our very detailed submission letter, we're all in agreement that the use is appropriate. It's low scale, it's compatible, it's something that will serve the community, and it's welcomed. It's just how we get there in terms of the condition that has us really concerned. There's multiple examples in municipality, whether it's under an old official plan or current official plan, where these type of onerous requirements have not been applied. We could go as of right today and occupy this building under the regulations. But we chose to come in here not to go from 95 square meters that's allowed to 127, but we chose to come in here and say, we want to occupy this space from the beginning. We could have done it in a 2-step process. And if we have done the 2-step process, when we come back to your committee next year, for example, and say, well, can we take it up to 73% or can we take it up to 127 square meters? There would be no basis for staff to recommend, or Public Works particularly, to recommend that we do site grading over the entire 50-acre parcel. They haven't really defined that for us. There'd be no opportunity for staff to say, give us a grading plan. Like there's a lot of onerous stuff in here that's probably about $150,000 to $190,000 in studies for a bedroom addition, equivalent to a bedroom addition. So I was hoping that I can make this presentation in the beginning to save you time, but I'm prepared to go right to the merits if you wish, sir. And I can tell you where we'd like the conditions to be changed if you wish. But in earnest, we're here and we're putting our full faith in your process to allow us an opportunity to have one more attempt to sit down with staff and some senior staff as well to see if we can come to some consensus. And then when the matter comes before you, it should be totally uncontested, including conditions. That is what our hope and wish is.
So my understanding is you'd like to defer this for 30 days to come closer with staff to what you want versus what the recommendation is before us today. Is that correct?
Correct, sir. But I wouldn't put a 30-day period on it because it's hard to get all staff and all the players in one hearing. It took us 30 days to get the meeting, which happened on Friday, 3 days before this hearing. So, if it's amenable, we'll take the 30 days if that's your direction. But if you would leave it open, and we will, advise Mr. Funk that we're ready to go on. I think our gap is entirely closed in terms of the merit of the application. We're all in agreement based on our very comprehensive planning report that we filed in support of the application, and now the 2 staff reports. We're all in agreement. Hopefully, and the members of the committee agree that the variance is minor in nature. The question then is, why do we need to spend the money that I just described on a very minor uptake of the size of the classrooms that we want to have? It's just to us, there's no connection between the two, and we wanted not to have this discussion on the floor today, but give us an opportunity to come to some agreement with staff, give it another attempt, because that's sort of where we think it'd be most useful for everybody. I don't know if
Alright.
Monica and Mr. Tardif have whether the clients have anything to add. I apologize, but that's where we're coming from, and that's, I think, the most favorable course of action for everyone. I
Alright,
believe. I believe.
I will put it to the committee for deferral, see if they agree with you on 30 days and giving township and yourself more time to come closer to what you want for them to put in the recommendation. Given that in 30 days, we will go through this whole process all over again. And if you're not, then that would be a good time to place your arguments for changes in the recommendations.
Yes, sir. And I will do that in advance of the hearing. And I'll set out exactly what we feel are the appropriate conditions of approval under the circumstances. So, I mean, there has been some success. Staff have moved away from requesting a site plan, but they substituted for a development agreement. And we still have the issue of the public works comments, which is a complete misapprehension of the application. And we were hoping that with this next adjournment, if it's granted by the committee, we could have an on-site visit and they could see visually, as many of you members may have already seen, what it is we're proposing.
All right, let me put this to the committee. Is there appetite to defer this file 30 days till next month? Is there appetite for that? Or do you wish to discuss the recommendations before us and make a decision? Yes, sir.
Through the chair, what I'm wondering is if the conditions you seek relief for, is it possible, in your opinion, to get relief from them if they're a bylaw or a policy? That would be to Mr. Kronos.
Sorry, if I understand your question, whether the relief we're looking from the recommendations can be otherwise addressed in the zoning bylaw the municipality has?
If it's a bylaw or a policy that can't be amended or changed, is it
Okay. So if
fruitful
I
for
can
you
speak
to
to that,
pursue the change?
if I can speak to that, sir. First of all, there was a disagreement between us and the town whether site plans required. It's a discretionary call. You now have a new planning director, and in fairness to him, he's just 2 or 3 weeks into municipality, and he was brought into the meeting on Friday. We haven't really had a chance to have a fulsome discussion with him as well. He listened into our meeting on Friday. But the site plan is no longer required. So there's no policy, there's no, it's not an applicable law that gets triggered by a building permit. If it is, then we have to deal with it, but it's not. The development agreement is also something that flows out from a discretionary requirement. It's not a policy. It is not a bylaw. It's something that flows out from the Public Works comments. Now, the comments from Public Works are generic in nature. And they would apply whether you do a consent application, you do a subdivision, or you do a commercial development. And this is why we were a little bit taken back by them, because we're suggesting we're not any of that. We're not a Walmart development. It's just an existing structure that we can occupy up to 50% and 95 square meters, but we want to go 73 and 127. That doesn't trigger all the requirements. So there is no policy that we're contributing, or no bylaw. It's a discretionary call. And this is why we're suggesting that we be prudent to have a pause to allow for one more round of the discussion. And it could be that we never reach that, but we'd like to try it. Typically, applicants oppose deferrals. They see that as a as a negative thing. We're actually suggesting it's positive because we do now have a new director that we'd like to continue to engage. Your CAO may be involved. The manager of Public Works has been in discussion with us. So, we think it's important to allow this to proceed to that. But there is, to answer your question, there is no policy that we're trying to change that can't be changed. There isn't a bylaw that applies that we're trying to amend that would be outside your jurisdiction. None of that. All this stuff is within your jurisdiction and it doesn't offend any policy or bylaw.
Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, I would ask Nick perhaps to comment on that statement for clarification from the planning department's perspective.
Thank you through the chair. Yeah, so in terms of the policy requirements, so the subject on-farm diversified uses in the township's official plan 2024 are subject to site plan control. It is discretionary, but it is up to municipality's discretion. The township site plan control bylaw also subjects on-farm diversified uses to site plan control. As the applicants, as initially indicated in the original report, in discussion with the applicants, they did suggest that there was an opportunity to enter into a different type of agreement, like a development agreement. Staff agreed with that, indicating that site plan would not be required, provided that we did enter into a development agreement with them. And that's basically what we've recommended so far. So that's where it currently stands at the moment.
I do
You
have
have
a
to
question.
unmute yourself. I don't know, Mr. Chairman, if we're permitted to respond to that, since we're the movers of the request. Perhaps we can have an opportunity to respond, if that's okay with you.
I just have a question for Nick. In light of your request for deferral, would 30 days give you the opportunity and the client to come closer on your recommendation to what they want? Or is it a moot point?
Thank you, Chair. So staff have provided a recommendation report and are consistent in terms of the recommendation and the conditions that have been outlined in there. So staff are happy to proceed as is. Obviously, meeting with an applicant, there's no harm in finding additional information out. However, it is our opinion that the information is available, and staff does have a recommendation for approval, subject to the conditions listed.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, to the young lady waving at me on the screen.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you for your time, and I'm glad that you're taking this seriously, and so are we. To put things in perspective, your committee used a minor variance process to approve a dog agility park, file 2307. And this dog agility park has permission to have 1 to 4 people at a time for 6 daily slots. So we're talking potentially 24 people a day, and I'm proposing 24 people a week. And I don't think safety changes that dramatically, but they did not require any of the studies that we're being asked to produce. And that's what is making us ask that the same discretion that was shown with Sega Farms be shown to us. One of the questions we've asked and we've never had answered is what is uniquely hazardous about what I am proposing that triggers all these additional studies? When you think about all the home businesses, for example, a daycare that might have 5 children a day, 25 a week, they don't go through any of this. So to be asked to pay thousands of dollars and there's not really a concern that can be addressed is a little bit frustrating, to say the least. So we're asking that site plan be discretionary, as it is in almost every single home business. And the other thing is that site plan usually applies before things are built. Everything is built. So to go back and do a grading plan when the road and the parking area and the barn is completed and the hayfield has grown in, there's no erosion problem, is a little bit hard to understand. And so that's what I'm hoping. We have not been given a reason why these studies are required, and it is not being applied in a fair way with other equivalent businesses. So I think you might be able to understand my misapprehension about just signing on and saying, of course, we'll do everything that's required of us.
All right, so ensure that I am on the right page here. If the committee gives you 30 more days to negotiate, however that works, right? The committee either approves the recommendations that come out in 30 days, or you guys can argue to specific recommendations you would like to see removed or changed. But I do know that our goal as the committee is not to argue between the two of you or negotiate for you on your behalf.
Sure.
So my understanding, my best suggestion would be to defer 30 days, at which point in time, either you guys and township are successfully getting a closer to what you want recommendation. And in the event that you're not, to come prepared to argue just the conditions that you wish either removed or changed and the reasons why. That way, it can be very clear to the members on either side of me at the committee of exactly what the issue is that we can question both you and the township on. But I definitely don't want to question either of you, either the planning staff or yourself, on I'll call them ethereal ideas. All right. So I will ask again the committee if there's a appetite to defer this and create the motion. Yes, sir.
I'm just thinking with the complexity of the whole thing, I don't think we better limit it to 30 days. I think we better just defer it until they see fit to bring it back to the committee.
Yeah, if I can, this is where we're heading, sign a die. Obviously, we want an approval and we want it quick, but we want to be able to implement whatever decision you issue. Some of these conditions can be frustrated by not being able to agree on a development agreement. I need to say something because you'll hear this in the future, hopefully not, but there is something called applicable law. The chief building official needs to apply applicable law. So if a site plan is applicable law, as a building permit is applicable law, there's no need to repeat it in conditions of approval that you issue. If, for example, I need a permit for a road entrance, you don't say in your conditions of approval, get a permit for road entrance. It naturally has to happen because there's other legislation that governs it. So this is one of our apprehensions and why we want a chance to clear it up. The other thing is that you heard that the new official plan allows for on-farm diversified uses and it's been relaxed. A lot more relaxed from the old official plan, which was much more constrictive. Official plan is not applicable law. We are dealing with a variance from a zoning bylaw. Official plan provides you the guidance to come to a decision on the general conformity of the official plan, but it's not applicable law. So you heard earlier, or you might hear that the Sago Farm was done under a different regime. Now we have policies for on-farm diversified uses, but they're much more relaxed. They're less restrictive than they used to be in the old official plan, but you have to focus on the zoning bylaw that we're trying to amend, not on some zoning bylaw or future official plans or existing official plans that may be coming down the pipe. I just wanted to make that clear.
All right. To the thought that Mr. Robert had of leaving the deferral open-ended, is there more of an appetite for that amended motion before us? Do we have a seconder for said? All in favor of said amended motion? Carried. All right, sir. So you have the motion to defer this on an open-ended, there's no end date, all right?
Aye.
We will be pleased to see you back. I will speak for me personally. I truly enjoy in-person meetings.
So do I.
As a guy with hearing aids, this is a absolutely torturous moment for me. But if when you guys are ready and you have come either closer to a recommendation you like, or you're ready to argue the specific conditions that you want changed, I'd be absolutely happy to meet you here in chambers and discuss it.
I would prefer that too, sir, if that we can make sure that your direction on this, it's noted that it be an in-person meeting. That's much more preferable. I agree.
So I thank you for your participation today. I can only move as fast as my good sir. He has got it all down pat and written out. So I leave you with a deferral that's open-ended. And we as the committee look forward to seeing your name on our agenda in the future and discussing this out.
And I look forward to seeing you in person as well, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Appreciate it.
All
And
right.
again, our apologies for dragging you into the hearing. We were hoping to have this done administratively, but we understand under the circumstances it wasn't possible. Thank you.
I
Thank
fully
you very
understand
much.
the time, anytime. All right, sir. We have
Thank-
no other files before us. So that puts us at any new business for the committee to discuss.
No new business at this time.
And do we have a tentative date for our next meeting?
Yes, our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, October 8th, 2025.
That's next month.
That's next month. Yes.
Well done, well done. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Carried. 3:37, the meeting is over. Now.